Welcome to the Easy Speak Speakeasy.
You've unlocked the door to unfiltered mental health and wellness conversations.
So welcome everybody to our Pinnacle Partnerships PERL Roundtable. We are so excited to have this conversation today. We are really out here trying to promote the importance of lived experience coaches in the field and supporting families and supporting the systems that are supporting families and doing a better job, or if they're doing a good job, keeping at it. So for those of people who are watching who don't know me, I'm Kristi Glenn, one of the founding partners here at Pinnacle Partnerships, and I'm also our Chief Experience Officer. I come to this work by way of my lived experience with my son who has mental health needs. We started on this journey when he was 3, and he is now almost 19, and we're still at it. And, you know, through the years, as my professional capacity has expanded, I've done a lot of direct work with families, with lots of different systems, consulting with systems, helping people to think better about family voice, families as experts. And so PERL is really important to me as a program and as something that exists on this planet for families.
Hi, everybody. I am the other founding partner here at Pinnacle Partnerships and the Psychological Enhanced Response Liaison program. Thank you for being here. And I think maybe we can just go around, if everyone doesn't mind telling us who you are, your name, and levels of expertise, not levels of expertise, but areas of expertise. Because one of the things I love the most about our PERL program is that everyone has a little bit of a different angle in how they help families based on their own lived experience, as Kristi was saying. So, Melinda, since you have a mic in your hand.
Well, thank you. So my name is Melinda Nealand. I have the pleasure and privilege to serve as a volunteer board member here at Pinnacle. I too came to know Pinnacle and love it through Kristi. She and I met over, I would say, 10 years ago doing wraparound in Children's Behavioral Health Initiative. And so we met for professional reasons. I think we fell in love as just supporters and champions of the work because we come with lived experience. I too have a child with significant mental illness. However, I will say that our journey is amazing and wonderful at this point. She's 23 years old. She's managing her mental health. She utilizes supports. And I get to be her mom and watch this journey kind of flow and evolve over time. And so I'm happy to be here with all of you. I would say, you know, my professional journey has been similar to Dahyana's, right? I came into this as a helper in the human service fields. I did home-based interventions with kids and families struggling community with the premise to keep families at home, to build natural supports, to build community-based supports, and really wrap around children and their families as they're walking these journeys. And it was in that work that then our family experienced our own journey. And so I have both the professional and the personal connection to this work. And I'm really invested in supporting the workforce as we continue to help families. We also want to promote self-care and combat secondary traumatic stress. And I think the PERLs are going to share some great examples of the ways that they do that and walk alongside families as we talk today.
Hi, my name is Adele. I speak both Cape Verdean and a little bit of Portuguese and English. I'm a PERL, and I'm excited to be here. I've been here for about a year now. I too have 2 children that struggles with mental disabilities. It's a hard journey, so I'm very happy to be here to serve other families so I can help them get through it, just like I had the support from other people. So it's excited to be a PERL. The fact that when a parent comes to me and asks me, how do I do it? I tell them I had a long journey, but thank God with all the great support that I had. I'm here, and my kids are now 22 and 15, and they're doing very good right now. So I'm happy to be here so I can learn more as well, so I can share with other families. Thank you.
Hi, I am Maggie. I am also a PERL and a lived experience coach. I have numerous children in different modalities of mental health, kind of across the spectrum from very, very little to more severe. I came to you guys as a new mom needing to get out of my house, and also helping others has always kind of been my path, even when I'm not actively working in a role. Everyone has always come to me as their helper, so it just seemed to be a really great fit. We have a very big blended family, so I bring a little bit of diversity to that platform. I understand the differences between, substance abuse and blended families, and I have a history where one of my children used American Sign Language for the first 5 years of his life, so that took me into college for my associates in interpreting. So we use American Sign Language, not often anymore. He does use English now as he's integrated back into the school system, but that gave me a lot of experience with IEPs, 504s, and special education. I also have a background in the legal capacity, so I'm really great at organization and legal drafting and editing, which helps some families because sometimes they just don't know what words to use to express exactly what frustration they're dealing with in the moment. And if you don't come across the right way, you can get pushed off to the side. So I find that my best support is helping families with organization and wording, and also self-care. I have a little bit of a background in holistic wellness, so I always try to incorporate self-care into all of our sessions, ending them with, don't forget to grab a coffee. 1 or 2 things on your to-do list for the week is okay. And if it's still there on Friday, that's still okay. So I have a lot of families that we're just kind of going through the journey, and I do love just walking with them. Even just this morning, I am having clients messaging me just random things that they had a great success with this or that, and vice versa, they have a concern with this or that. So we are available as PERLs pretty much all the time, and I just love the flexibility of this program.
Hi, my name is Kelly, and my journey to Pinnacle was kind of an interesting one. I did a little bit of everything after college. The first thing that started me off in this journey was a lot of family trauma and having to raise my younger sister. So she was probably 5 when this journey started, getting her into therapy, just keeping her mental health up and her doing well. And then after college, I graduated with a psychology degree, and I didn't know what to do with it because, frankly, you have to go to more school. So I decided to go into a psychiatric hospital where I worked with adolescents and people with substance abuse. It was definitely an interesting journey. I found the patients to not have enough support and honestly just struggle with the same issues, and sometimes those issues were even worse in that system because they didn't have a doctor that they were seeing or a social worker that they could constantly see. So after I left, I was looking to get into something that was a little bit more hands-on and something that I could make more of a change in. And that's when I found Pinnacle, and I fell in love with the company and what it stands for. I think it's amazing to see 2 wonderful people running this nonprofit for a cause that isn't really talked about still to this day, and just changing the lives of families one by one. I think it's incredible.
Hi, I'm Eileen Sansonetti. I started my journey in mental health 22 years ago. Probably before, because I grew up in a family with a lot of mental issues that I was learning during my youngest years. But 20 years ago, my son was born. He's in the spectrum into the autism spectrum. This is a, let me see, it's not it's complete, but it's beautiful. Well, I'm taking a lot of courses into the online, also with you guys. I do the first aid in mental health. Is really good. Well, I doing course like a neuro mentals, also in how to be happy, and also I use another holistic for the help people is using essential oil, using that, you have to relax in another way. Well, it's some like I'm here to help. The people is not alone. We are here to help.
I think what you are starting to highlight there is that lived experience coaches is a profession. And I think this is one of the things that when Dahyana and I first started Pinnacle, we really wanted to bring to the field, that if somebody with lived experience is supporting a family, it's not just some friend that's showing up at a meeting, right? Like, this is an actual profession. It's what we're doing. We have lots of different training, and there's lots of courses, and we do lots of time together, supervision, like talking through different approaches. And it's really important that we continuously, I think, educate the field about how important it is to have people with lived experience out here supporting families. We live in a time where our mental health system is completely overburdened, right? There's wait lists everywhere, and schools are overburdened. And so as PERLs and lived experience coaches, we have the opportunity to help families do a lot of different things and learn a lot and be empowered even while they're on a wait list. There's so many things that you can be doing to help your family while you're waiting for individual therapy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for sharing a little bit about your experience and how you came to this work. As I said at the top, it's really awesome. I've heard you all kind of say some version of what you said today, but it's awesome to all of us be here together and hear all of the different angles and perspectives. And, I think one of the resounding common threads with everything that everybody said was that, mental health challenges don't define a person, right? And that, it's all about perspective. And even, with professionals, how we all work together, perspective taking can really make a difference in service delivery, right? And also our ability to receive support and the impact that it makes. So we have some facilitation questions, right? Let me see, which one do we want to start off with first? I mean, there's just eeny, meeny, miny, mo, this one. Okay, so I think this one is a really good question, because it really, I think, has the ability to highlight just how multifaceted and nuanced the work is that we all do. And so, in your experience, anybody who wants to go first, what would you say are some of the most significant challenges that parents face when they're dealing with their child's mental health needs? Everyone's like, that's a loaded one. go for it, Maggie.
I'll go first. I would say the top thing that I see with my families that they're facing is that the parents aren't seen as part of the team. Unfortunately, the schools want to know better. The doctors know better. Everyone with more experience knows better than the person living with the person they're trying to support. So I would say that is one of the biggest challenges, is kind of changing the mindset and letting those people know, like, I'm not going to just stand here and let you wash over what I'm trying to tell you. These are real issues in my home with my child, with my significant other, with whomever they're trying to support. So I think just trying to change the narrative, because the parent is the most important part of that team. We're just here to support them.
I love that.
I think another big issue that I've seen as well is them not knowing where to start. So it's like how do I start? Where do I get my information? And like, how do I deal with waiting? Because I think that's another big thing that gives a lot of families anxiety, just waiting and not knowing whether their child is going to get worse or how bad it's going to get before they actually get seen, or before they even just get some sort of comfort from someone telling them that it'll be okay and that they're not the only ones that have gone through the issue.
So I'm going to approach this from two perspectives. One is a systems perspective. One of the hardest challenges, and Maggie was speaking to this, is that families are not acknowledged as the expert of their family. And I would put that on our systems of care. I would say that all of our child serving systems that are interfacing with children and families need to create a space where they have the understanding that parents are the experts. And that shouldn't be incumbent on the most impacted to lead. It shouldn't be the family's responsibility to have to hold the seat at the table, but we as professionals, right, pushing fields and doing systems change need to be ready to receive the families. And I think at a founder's level, I think Dahyana and Kristi spend a lot of time doing education with schools, with providers, with doctors to say, hey, there's a space here and you don't own it, right? We need to make a way for youth and family voice to lead progress. And then I think at a family perspective, we're being asked at a parent level to do so much, right? So even if you have no knowledge of the mental health field, you're now challenged to run a residential treatment facility in your home, in your living room, in your bathroom. You're being asked to supervise your child 24 hours a day. You're being asked to run your home like it's a locked facility and, remove dangerous objects, which might be normal things like your kitchen items, right? When your child's struggling with self-harm or harm to others. We're being asked at so many levels to function beyond our role as natural nurturers to our children. And that's not okay. But I think it's also the reason why we need PERLs, right? Like, we need mirrors, and we need to be able to be mirrors to each other to say, hey, listen, what you're going through is really hard. And that's why you feel frustrated. And that's why you might feel exhausted. And that's why you might feel angry. And you love your child, but it's hard to parent today, and that's okay, right? And so I think that's a big part of PERLs, is just to be a mirror to say these things are hard, and we see you. And I think those are the challenges that professionals don't often take into consideration when working with families.
She said it all, but I just feel like sometimes as the child gets to a certain age, that's a big issue. Like for me, when my child was about 17, I had a friend come to me. I had no idea there was medical guardianship. But when she said it, I said, oh, Jesus, I'm going straight to court to go find out more information. So that's why it's important to work with a PERL, because we have that experience that can help when a child gets to a certain age, that parents can be more at ease, so they can feel comfortable when they go into a doctor to speak to them, so they can share information because they have that medical guardianship. So that's very important.
Thank you. Definitely. I think one of the things, I don't think this is on our facilitation questions, but off script I go.
Got it going.
One of the things that I think you were all highlighting is something that I think a lot of times professionals in the field that are interfacing with families miss, which is the level of compassion fatigue that families go through, right? And so oftentimes families are tired and frustrated, and all of a sudden they have to get legal guardianship over their child that they're like, don't I automatically have legal guardianship over this thing that I birthed, right? Like, how do we figure that out, right? What do all of these things mean? And it's the sleepless nights, and it's the hiding the knives, and do you have a medication lockbox? Things that you've never thought you would ever be saying when you had your child swaddled, right? This was not the life that we envisioned. And I think as a field, people think about that other types of caregivers and professionals get tired and burnt out, right? But with families, if we are tired and burnt out, we are suddenly hostile. I was in a meeting yesterday and somebody said, and on top of it, we were dealing with a hostile mother. And I was like, automatically, I could feel like my horns were coming out, like, you haven't seen hostile yet. You know, like, it's, you know, where people are tired, right? And we, I think, sometimes forget, because as moms or dads or parents and caregivers, it's like you're never supposed to get tired, right? Other than that one time in life when you first have your kid and everyone's like, you must be exhausted, I'll take the baby, right? But like when your kid is 13 and they keep jumping out of their bedroom window and running away, people are like, what's wrong with you? Can't you get control? And it's like, yeah, I've been doing this for the past 5 nights and I actually fell asleep. You know, like these are the realistic things that happen. And then parents get these sort of negative labels. And I think that that's something that as PERLs, we can really help to educate the field on, right? Like, I think people think about this more when you're raising, or not raising, but caring for elderly people, to think about like, oh, it's the compassion fatigue, or you don't hear people be as judgmental if they're saying like, I'm really tired from taking care of my mother or father who's aging, right? But when it's your children, it's suddenly that there's something different. And so I'm just wondering how you all may have experienced some of this yourselves, or supported other families in their own compassion fatigue and dealing with that, and also how we may have seen that in the field and how we are kind of out there working to combat that.
Like you said, when you have teenagers, youths, no one really want to take them. Thank God I have parents. They're still young and they help me with my daughter even till this day. But I have a lot of faith in the Lord. I feel like everyone needs some type of faith for self-care. So my faith, I hold it very close to my heart. Some people say, for example, when my daughter tried to commit suicide once, they say, how do you sleep? I said, yes, for the first couple of nights it's hard. But then I pray, I have that faith in the Lord, and I say, God, take over my child. Because if you don't take care of yourself, how will you be able to take care of the little ones that you have at home? So you have to have some faith in your heart in order to care for children when they're your own, because not everyone's going to help you because they're older and it's hard for them. They don't understand. So I have the faith in my Lord, thank God, that helps me. So that's what I say to everyone, have some type of faith in your heart.
My compassion fatigue hit while I was pregnant and had a child living at Children's Hospital. And we had 2 other kids at home. We both had to work. We were behind on all our bills. And those people who weren't aware of the situations and thought that we were just sitting there, I don't know how anyone just thinks a parent is sitting there. They bring in the professionals who are like, we're going to take your child. And that is one of the biggest anxiety burdens that families face, because they're like, if I am not 100% on top of it, and I am not in that resource, in that hospital, in that room, on top of my child, holding their hand every single moment of every single day, my child is we're going to fail. Somebody's going to come in and take them. Like, so that was me at, I think I was 20. And we were dealing with DCF coming in, doing a home study, the whole 9, calling, from the hospital. They're like, your child is sitting here, and they're with a nurse. And mind you, the nurses are great. The nurses at hospitals are generally the most compassionate people that you will probably ever meet, because they see it. From the ground up, they see it. Those nurses are like, please take a nap. Please go take a shower. Please go home to your other children. I have your child. You are safe here. And then the doctor rounds, and you're not there. Because you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your family. That was my first bout of compassion fatigue. And at this point in my life, I'm 36. We've been doing this a long time. I have a lot of nieces and nephews who have also been through it, and their parents are tired. The way I explain it is the tagline, let them come in. Let them come and see what's really going on. because unless they're taking your child home at night, they have no idea. No idea. Let them. They will come in. They will see how fabulous you are doing, how you're barely treading water, but you're doing it every single day, minute by minute, praying, hoping, burning some incense. It's just minute by minute. Did you make it through Monday? Yes, you did. Are you going to make it through Tuesday? Maybe. But, if you struggle, it's okay. Everyone's struggling. So I would say for me and for my clients, and even for my friends and family that are going through it, because not everyone's a client, I just tell them, let them. Because anyone who has eyes and a heart will come in and they will see that no matter what you're doing, no matter how hard they want you to work more, you're doing the work. You're there with your child. You're keeping them alive. You're supporting them no matter what they need. So let them.
It's just really incredible to hear all of your journeys. And, I love to kind of uncover themes. And as you all are talking, I'm just hearing the word empowerment over and over and over again in my mind, right? Just the different ways that we can empower families, but also the systems that serve them, right? Because, I think you said, Melinda, that, the systems of care, we've got to make space for parents to be at the table as a team member, and I think that that's one of the things that I really wanted to make sure we did and continue to do here at Pinnacle as a clinical person, right? Because I don't have that lived experience, but I know that I can never be as effective as a parent in helping a child to overcome their challenges, right? If I meet with somebody's child for an hour a week and then they go and they live the 23 other hours of the day, 6-7 days a week, the most impact is going to happen through the collaborative efforts and the partnerships that I form with the families that I work with. And so, I think that it's one of those challenges that has occurred because mental health is, and I've said this before, but mental health is a health problem with social solutions, and our healthcare infrastructure isn't necessarily built to house that, right? It's very nuanced. We're talking about real people and real lives, and you can't put a kid through a scanner and come out on the other end with X, Y, and Z plan, to fix it. And so, how do we make room for nuance and for families to be able to be themselves and receive the support that they deserve? We kind of asked about the challenges, but when you all are meeting with families for the first time, what are some common themes, questions that people are asking you? What are the Eileen's ready.
Okay, yes. One of the questions they do is, it's not a question, it's say help. I need help. Okay. They say how I can go into a therapist. Well, I had an experience with a mother. She called me. She said I had a long wait in a long list, waiting for around 8 months. And I say, okay, she explained everything about the doctor. She say, wow, but she needs something because it's something like experiencing trauma into the school, bullying, cutting, there's a lot of issues and problems. I say, okay, let me help you. I'm going to call the places where you're trying to get an appointment. And they say, oh, please, but never they say I'm in waiting list. I called, and immediately they say, wow, this kid need really, as soon as possible, they need help. And I get an appointment in 2 days, okay? And she say, wow, thank you for your help. Thank you, because if you don't be here, I never get an appointment. I don't know what is going to happen with my kids. But they say, help, and say, you are not alone. We are here.
Yeah, I think something similar to that, especially in times of crisis. A lot of families say, "What am I doing wrong?" or "What could I have done differently?" And I think one of the big things that families and just people going through these issues need to remember is that you didn't do anything wrong. These crises, these things, they happen, and the only thing that we can do about them is move forward and try our best to help our child. And I think this goes back to the fact that parents do need to focus on self-care, because if you're not doing well mentally or physically, then how are you supposed to help your child? I think that especially through Pinnacle, we're there to remind the parents, like, hey, you didn't do anything wrong. These things happen. You're not the only family that has gone through this, not remotely. And I think that's just one of the big things that we need to keep reminding parents of, because I don't think that question ever goes away when you're not only in moments of crisis, but just in general, when you're sitting alone or you're like thinking, the question kind of always crosses your mind without even trying to. You ask yourself, what did I do wrong? How can I get out of this? The big thing is you just have to wait and just remember, I didn't do anything wrong. This happened because these things happen. It's out of my control. And the only thing I can do is support my child and look for supports for myself.
I think one of the things I remember hearing the most is, how are you different? Like, I've met with 20 professionals already. I've gotten 6 calls this week. My child's been evaluated and reevaluated for the last 2 weeks, and we're waiting for placement. And how are you going to be different? And I think that's really where PERLs and professionals with lived experience can stand up and say, what's different is I know you know your child best. So it's my job to understand what your needs are. It's my job to really listen to you and understand what your family's strengths are. It's my job to help find supports that feel like they fit for your family. It's not my job to tell you what you should do. It's my job to help you navigate your options. And if you don't know what your options are, and people are telling you what they think is best for your family, we're missing an opportunity to come alongside you, and that's how we're different. And I think PERLs are really different because you're not governed by managed care, right? You're not focused on eligibility criteria. You can work with a family where they are, when they are, however they are, and say, I want to hear from you. And I think we have that benefit, and Pinnacle PERLs have the benefit of just being that much like 2 steps removed in a space of stability, so that we can see the strengths in that family sitting across from us. We can see the strengths in that youth even when they're struggling. And I think that's how we're different.
Thank you. One of the other things that I think really elevates what we bring to the table is how much we think about being culturally sensitive and culturally competent. And so I would love it if we could each kind of talk to us, especially Eileen, and you have so much experience with Spanish speaking people. Kelly, as do you. Maggie, you have ASL, but also, other types of things that are in your background related to culture. And Adele, so do you. So if maybe each one of you could say a couple of things related to culturally in mental health, what you kind of see that is impactful or stops people from being fully able to speak their truth to professionals, or where you see maybe professionals falling short, just maybe what you see as kind of some of the biggest, tallest orders that we continue to have to go up against in regards to being culturally aware and sensitive in the work that we have to do in the field.
Okay. In Spanish or English? Yes. No, in English first, Spanish after. They in the culture, in Spanish, especially Latin American culture, when you say that had something mental health, they're afraid. Okay? They has like a taboo or stigmatizing about they had the. It's better say, oh, my kids had something in my arm, okay? Operations, they has open hairs, surgeries. Another thing that say, my kids had something inside the head. They say, oh no, they are crazy probably. No, they are not crazy, okay? Especially men's, okay? Women's call me and say, my husband doesn't want that my kid go into, and especially a therapist. I know this is a issue because we need help in the matter. I say, okay, your son is okay, your daughter is okay. It's difficult, es difícil, okay, to go, ir dentro, inside the people, dentro de las personas que están Spanish speaking, okay, que son habla española, especialmente en Latinoamérica, porque normalmente de la mujer, the woman, es quien tiene siempre, always is asking for help, siempre está pidiendo ayuda. El hombre no, especially when there are boys, okay? They say, no, my boy wanna go in soccer, my boy is strong, okay? Mi niño quiere jugar pelota, quiere ir con fútbol, mi niño es fuerte. When they found wall, a pared, okay, then say, no, they don't believe that this is possible, okay, but it's hard.
In Hispanic culture, I'm Mexican American, and specifically in Mexican culture, it is completely taboo to say the word mental health or mental struggles. I know when myself and my younger sister first started therapy, and when we would have to leave my grandmother's house early, my mom, instead of saying, oh, you know, we have to leave because they're going to go to therapy, she would say, oh, we have to go now, I have to go and cook, or they have a doctor's appointment. And even to this day, I don't think my grandmother knows that myself, my younger sister, my older sister, and even my mother go to therapy. That's how much of a stigma and struggle it is. And like similarly to what Eileen was mentioning, the machismo, my dad refuses to this day to go to therapy. Just the other day, he was telling me that he's not crazy, so he doesn't need to go to therapy. And I think that's one of the big things that people who aren't aware or in tune to Hispanic culture need to realize, that it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to break down these walls that people have, because they're just there from the moment that you're raised. I know myself, it took me several years. It took me 2 years into my college journey to realize, hey, I should go see someone for these problems that I'm having. So I definitely think that culture has a big part of it. Even things like women being more emotional or being seen as more emotional are normalized. And sometimes it's not just that we're more emotional, it's just that, oh, you might have some trauma or you might have some issues that you need to talk through. And it's like they're presented in very different ways, especially in Hispanic culture.
So culturally, Cape Verdeans, basically just like Spanish people, they don't really understand mental health. I still get people asking me, because my daughter's so sweet in the outside. When she goes to the hospital, they ask me, how? Why? And they don't understand there's no why or there's no how. It's just her struggles inside. And men, sometimes you hear the word saying, oh, sadapadodo, like they're acting crazy. For example, if it's a young youth, sometimes the parent says, oh, tiene brillo, like kind of, she's just acting up, acting fresh. They don't understand it. A lot of young parents like myself, because we came young from Cape Verde Islands, of course we have more education when it comes to mental health, so we understand. But when they're older, sometimes because they didn't get that education for mental health, it's a little bit harder. I have even worked with families that I noticed the mom struggles, but she doesn't understand. So sometimes I reach out to the family members that doesn't live in the household saying, mom needs some type of assistance as well. Maybe with a therapist, because she doesn't understand that she needs her therapist herself. I get parents at times says, how do you do it? You don't have a therapist? And I say, my main thing when my daughter was younger, I had received the information about a family therapist. So that helped me, because sometimes a family therapist in the house comes and speak to you, speak to the child, so you guys understand each other better. And I have my parents, they're still young, a younger age that I speak to them, so they're kind of like my support system. That's why I don't have a one-on-one, but it's okay to get a one-on-one therapist for yourself when your child struggles. So Cape Verdeans, like I said, it's a little bit harder for the older Cape Verdeans to understand how to deal with mental health in the house, because they don't have that education. They still think it's something like, oh, they're acting up or they're crazy. So we need to get that word out more so they can understand. And thank God I'm a PERL that speaks Criollo. I speak Cape Verdean, so sometimes they come to me and I explain to them what I've been through, what other families been through, so they understand it better. So thank you.
In regards to the deaf culture, I would say the stigma is very different than what the rest of you have explained. More so, it's not as taboo. It's just the confidentiality isn't there because the providers don't sign. So you always have to have an interpreter. It's hard to feel like you're not on stage, is what I've heard from some of the other parents of deaf children. And getting that, or, you know, just more the privacy. I would say the privacy is where the lack of mental health comes in. And it's such an underfunded, underprovided for demographic. There are very little providers in mental health, physical health, legal counsel that can utilize sign language actively, even conversationally, in order to provide for their clients. So I would say in regards to like the deaf culture, which is completely different, it is an entirely different culture. From my experience, it is more of a privacy standpoint where they don't want to give all of this information to an interpreter just to have that interpreter give it to the doctor, to give the doctor back to the interpreter, and vice versa. It kind of goes around. On a side note to that, there's also a culture in regards to blended families. And as a stepmom, one of the biggest things that is thrown around is you knew what you came into. You knew what you were signing up for. How dare you be hurt? How dare you be upset or have a struggle with your blended family because you knew? That same stigma doesn't apply to stepdads. They are the heroes. They came in, they saved the day, white knight. So there is a lot of blended family stigma, and God forbid that stepmom need a little bit of support navigating or just downloading. Every once in a while, she might lose her mind and scream because the stepkids have a different set of rules, or the bio kids have a different set of rules, or you're dealing with another co-parent, and it's not easy. It's kind of messy. So I personally have a therapist. Love them. She's great. And I have her because I am a blended family and I was losing it. So she just lets me download once a week. I just word vomit. This is what's going on in my house. Lost my mind over the shower this week. So yeah, I would say in blended families, there definitely is a little bit of a stigma just because it's a choice. Loving those children, loving your partner, it's a choice. Yes, it absolutely is. But isn't it a choice for everybody? Mental health is definitely important in regards to all of the roles, both in the deaf community and blended families.
Thank you. I definitely think that's something that people don't talk about. And there are so many blended families. And thank you for bringing that up, because I definitely think that's the first time I've ever heard somebody really speak to that challenge. And when you said, like, it's a different level of accountability for stepdads, I was like, ooh, I live that life. Yep, totally. So, I've been doing this work and supporting families for a long time, and I absolutely love it. It's challenging, but it's fun. And I've met so many different kinds of families along the way. And I always love to kind of just reflect on what it is that brings lived experience coaches to this work, because it's like 24-hour a day work, right? Like, you're working with families, but then you also have your own stuff with your own family. And so it takes a lot to create those boundaries within your own life, and all of those different dynamics when it's sort of like mental health 24 hours a day. But for me, it's always been that I've loved working with families. And so I was just wondering if each one of you could share why it is that you love doing this work, or maybe an anecdote about something related to a family that, was a success, or kind of keeps you wanting to do this work and continuing to give back to families like ours.
I love work with family like you, always. I try to help everybody, okay? I help people from Venezuela. I help people that need me in mental health, in another kind of health, anything, okay? I feel like when you help somebody and you get that is a good result at the end when you are helping a family, a mother and a father, and you feel that, for example, the lady that I can try, I found the therapist for her daughter, and she say, "Oh, thank you. I was like 8 months trying to deal with a therapist," and you say, "Wow." Okay. And another was was another client. I can work right now. I had a kid in the spectrum. I don't have money. I have to be at home. It's difficult for me to go to work. I try to find a help into, I think it's federal, or no, it's not federal, it's in Massachusetts, state help for people that with disability. They get some money for growing a child into the autism, into the spectrum. They get some money to pay and can afford, and say, "Oh, thank you, okay, you help me." And this is a satisfaction, es una satisfacción para mí hacer estas cosas. Traveling, one experience is helping an old lady. She's like a friend, she's like a family friend. 2 weeks ago, I went to Michigan, and she said, "I need help." She's in a hospital. She's with a daughter that has kind of another experience issues and dealing with 2.5 mom into the hospital, and they say, "Okay, I can help you." I got there for 1 week almost. She was happy. You feel like, I can help.
Yeah, I mean, I think similar to what you said, Eileen, one of the big things is just the satisfaction you get from helping a family that's struggling and they might be in crisis, and then as as you go through the journey with them, seeing them do so much better and even becoming more independent, knowing that they're going to be able to navigate the system themselves without potentially, like, without not needing any help or limiting the amount of help that they have. And I think another big thing for me personally is just knowing that I'm helping a family prevent or limit the amount of trauma or things that they're going through. So they're not going through what I went through or what my family went through, what my younger sister went through. That's what I kind of think about, knowing that as PERLs, we're helping people just navigate the system faster and with more support, so that we're limiting their trauma, we're limiting we're limiting the problems that they have by navigating the system alone, because they have help. They have someone to guide them through.
I would echo both of those sentiments as well. I love the helping aspect. It really is great to have a client come back week after week and be like, I got X, Y, and Z accomplished. So I looked at your to-do list and thank you. It's only 3 things this week. That's great. And I got it done, and then I got a coffee. Like, that's great. Awesome. I love hearing the success stories. And also, I think personally for me, this work is super important because when I was going through it, I didn't have somebody to support me. I didn't have somebody holding me accountable for myself as well as for my family. And I think that's really important, is just having someone, a safe space where you can download, you can say whatever you want. If you need to scream into my phone for the next 20 minutes, let's do it. And just reminding me that I am doing the best I can in the situation I was given. So helping others and giving them that satisfaction as well is really helpful for me, and that's my personal favorite.
I have worked as a family advocate for Brockton Public School for about 10 years, helping parents with outreach resources. So me helping families through the mental health is making me very happy. The fact that I had that with my children when I was in my 20s. So finding that they get in the help so they can make their life a little bit easier, I think that's very important as a PERL.
I'm a little bit choked up listening to all of you. And I think it just comes from this place of like where Kristi and I were, 12 years ago, and talking about, at the time, family partners and really being new to the fields. And I think what I love about what you all are doing now is that you have professionalized this concept of supporting families from where they are, how they need it, going beyond race, religion, and ethnicity to really address their cultural values, how they make decisions, what level of support feels good to them, answering the phone at 10 o'clock, being available at 7 in the morning, being able to talk about your faith and inviting God or whatever your identified spiritual religion or spirituality practices are unique to your family, being able to incorporate all of those things into your work, having kind of walked this journey, having lived this journey, and to see you all pushing this agenda and this profession forward is just like a deep breath, sincere gratitude, such pride for the work that you're all doing. And I think it's a call to action for other system partners, right? For other folks that come into this profession, who hold a seat at the table, who have a place of privilege, who have the opportunity to serve families. It's a call to action to do it better, right? And to do it in the spirit of like how we are meeting families where they are when they need it. And so I think for me, that's what I love. I love seeing all of you do this work and hearing about how you're doing this work in like leaps and bounds and amazing feats beyond when I had the opportunity to do the work or to use the work. So I'm so grateful. That's what I love.
I feel like it's all been said already. I think, one of my favorite things about all of us who are sitting in this room and, the spirit of Pinnacle is that it's really coming from a place of addressing the root causes and getting to the heart of the challenges, which means that we've got to be human about it. We've got to approach it from a human level and be vulnerable and accept people for who they are and not accept the systems for what they are, right? Because complacency has led us to a place where we have, the significant mental health challenges that we have in our country, and, the challenges that are continuing to be on the rise in youth and, therefore families and in our communities. And so, a lot of what we're talking about today is being innovative and changing the way that we think about things, changing the way that we approach mental health support and services, and making sure that we are maintaining our feet on the ground as humans, fellow human beings, right? Even when we talk about the cultural differences, it was like the same thing, right? Across cultures, we're dealing with the same challenges. They look different and we might interpret them a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, we're all humans just trying to survive and be happy and healthy, and everybody deserves that. And, I really appreciate everyone in this room for sticking by that, even though it's one of the more challenging struggles, right? There are a lot more lucrative and easy healthcare paths to take. And, this, even though this road can be challenging, it's obviously truly very rewarding, and that reward is sustaining us in lots of different ways. So I really appreciate all of you. Well, I thank you guys so much for being here today. We are so excited, and like I said before, we're just really happy that our vision to have this conversation has finally come to fruition, and we've been able to come and express ourselves and share the Pinnacle Partnership's mission and vision, and why we created the Psychological Enhanced Response Liaison program to better serve our families and our communities. And it starts with one family and it spreads, and it's a domino effect. And so the more families and lives that we can touch, the more that we'll see the difference in our communities. And I really appreciate you guys. So thank you for coming.